Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Chain Live. My name's Matt Drake. This is episode 128. And I'm joined, as ever, by Brady Cush. Good evening, Brady.
Good evening, Matt.
And also by Morgan Hartfeld. Good evening, Morgan.
Kia ora, Matt. Kia ora, team. How are we all doing this evening?
Really well, actually. Yeah, really well. It's a bit cold, though, isn't it? I mean...
It's a wee bit fresh.
It's like
I'd love
it's
to show you the
winter
snow
or something.
outside.
I know, right? What's going on? But it's snowing down where you are, Morgan. So I've seen from your socials.
It has been snowing. It was a pretty summery day today, if I'm honest. I was out there washing a few cars this afternoon, and yeah, it was tropical. I'm going skiing tomorrow for the first time in 2 years, though, so pretty excited for that.
Oh, excellent. Well, best of luck with that. Wellington's answer to snow arrived in Wainui earlier on today in the form of small hailstones. That's about as close to snow that Wellington gets. But yeah. Been able to get out much?
Yeah, I haven't been out this week, but obviously got to play last weekend, which was awesome. But yeah, how about you, Brady?
Yeah, getting out, doing some practice in the backyard and that kind of stuff. It's been wintry here, yeah. So like playing in hail was not super fun, but hey, you got to get that practice in, right?
That's right.
Well, look, we've got a great show lined up for everybody today. First up, we're going to be going through the results of the Tucker Beach Rush, which was held last weekend in Queenstown. Then we're going to be bringing our guests on tonight. Our guests are none other than New Zealand's first world champion, Sarah Wadsworth, and her father, Paul Wadsworth. They'll be joining us live from Christchurch. And then after that, they'll be stopping in for quite a bit of a chat, actually, doing Desert Island disc golf. And we get to hear all about her triumphs over in Peoria. Then we've got... there's been a proposed rule change come out, gents. I don't know if you've seen this from the PDGA.
Wait, only one rule change?
Quite a few rule changes. Quite a few of them actually will affect play in New Zealand and will affect play generally. We're going to give you a little bit of the TLDR because it is quite meaty, the update, and it is proposal at this stage. We'll go through more.
A bit of what? What's TLDR?
TLDR.
Well, what does that mean in the youth language?
Yeah, for us old timers, can you explain it to us?
Too long, didn't read.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot my glasses.
So yeah, for anybody who can't bother to read the PDGA site, you are in the right place to hear about the updates to the rule changes. Also, we'll be going over our picks for the Charteris Bay Charge a little bit later on, which is this weekend, along with the odds for the MPO division and an update to the power rankings following last week's results. So first up, let's go to the Tucker Beach Rush and have a look at the results here. In the MPO division, Levi Stout, as we predicted, walks away with it with a dominant 12-stroke lead.
I don't even think the word dominant actually covers it. It was insane. He was angry at himself at the end of the tournament that he didn't get a course record.
Well, that's his course record. But
that he tied twice.
I will say, right, that and we'll have a look at this in a minute. He shot 10:41 and 10:45 in this most recent tournament. His final round at Icebreaker was also pretty high rated, 10:23.
Yeah, 10:39.
10:39, 10:23.
Wow.
I don't know, but I will be able to tell you next week, and we'll have more information on next week's show, which is going to be a crackerjack. We're going to have more information on next week's show, where I think that run of that run of rounds might be somewhere close to being something that's not been done before. And so, but the data analytics team here at Sweet Jane, they've been working overtime, preparing for next week's episode. And so more details on that a little bit later on.
Is that how they broke the hot score machine?
That the hot score machine has unfortunately broke for this week, and yes, we'll be back in force next week. Ryan Cambridge and Hayden Edgley, great performance by Hayden, finishing in 4th. Sebastian Faulkner and Ethan Stout tied for 5th. Moving down, FPO Haley Flintoft wins the FPO division. Probably not as dominant as we were predicting it might be. But
it was super tight.
Still did enough in the final round to take the spoils over Michelle Simpson. Johnny Ferrari coming from 3rd, tied 2nd, sorry, I should say, after the first round, to overtake an incredibly competitive MP40 division to take out.
Yeah, goddamn Johnny Ferrari.
Is that his first?
Yep, that's his first tour. Yeah, that's his first divisional tour win. He's absolutely chuffed to bits with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a strong field as well. A strong field.
Yeah, for sure.
In MP40. MA1, look at this. None other than yourself, Morgan Hartveld.
This guy?
Yeah, I mean, if first of all, congratulations. 21 under par is a great result. 980, 954, fantastic work. And also, you had a fight on your hands in the second round by the looks of it. I mean, Jim was breathing down your neck for the leader of pretty much everyone else, but it was you and Jin for what looked like the majority of the tournament.
Yeah, it was. We got out to that sort of hot lead and built a pretty strong lead over 3rd place and down from the get-go, but the final score doesn't reflect how tight that was coming right down the stretch there. Jin had a good start over me at the beginning. I think he took 4 strokes back, or took 1 stroke back, and then went 3 ahead right off the rip within about 5 holes. And then, we sort of stuck neck and neck until he made a bit of a mistake across 2 holes, and I capitalized and just kept it clean to finish.
Yeah. That 21 under actually, incidentally, would have placed you 5th. In MPO.
Yep.
So very strong result. In FA1, Nicky Day takes it out, and in MA40, Stuart Gilchrist. That's back to back for him now.
Back to back. Yep, absolutely.
With a very dominant victory in MA40, and so congratulations to him. Nicola Stout, perhaps predictably, actually did win her division. And Ed Waddington takes out the MA50 division as well.
I think he was back-to-back as well, if I'm correct.
Oh, Ed?
Yep. I think he was defending.
Congratulations to him too. Right. Now, we've lost Brady briefly. He'll come back.
He did. He's come back on our screen, so hopefully he'll be back up.
Yeah. One moment, let me just see if we can get him back in here. Brady, are you back? Go on.
Yeah, I should be back, hopefully. If you guys can hear me, sorry.
Yep, we're back.
Sorry.
Issues in the valley.
He's back.
Sorry, Morgan, go on.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say, while you were figuring that out there, I just want to say big thanks to the guys at the Queenstown Club for running such an awesome event. It was an absolutely fantastic weekend. So looking forward to next year. That was the 10th anniversary of the tournament at the Tucker Beach. So, amazing feat just to get that far.
Yeah. And one of the longer courses in terms of number of holes played as well.
Yeah, 27. 2 rounds, 27 holes a day.
Yeah, that's quite an undertaking. That many holes in a weekend. Lovely stuff. Right. Good stuff. Now we're going to go to our guest now, or our guests, I should say, which is New Zealand's first world champion, Sarah Wadsworth, and her father, Paul. Good evening, Sarah and Paul.
Hi.
Hey, Sarah.
We should say congratulations.
Absolutely. Look, you did the whole country proud when you were over in the States. I think there was a lot of people following all the divisions, but particularly they were interested in how well you were doing, especially when you opened up that lead. So fantastic, great work. How do you feel now that you're back? You know, you're back at school presumably, and you're kind of back to normal life. How is it kind of settling in?
Well, it's good, but except for the temperature, it's way different.
Is it colder here?
Yes.
Excellent. And did you enjoy playing in the heat when you were over there?
Well, it was nice to play in the heat because I'm never played in that hottest heat.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good except for when you start to get sweating and your hands get really slippery.
How did you deal with that? Did you have a towel or something else?
So I used my drive bag.
Yeah.
It's a really good grip sack because it has a lot of chalk in it and it's just really nice to get your grip.
I've seen you playing around with that grip sack, and every time you do this between your hands, it puffs out with the dust. I love it. It's like LeBron James at the start of all his games.
Yeah.
So talk us through how this kind of all began. When did you first hear that you were going to go on holiday to America and play some disc golf? When was that?
Probably. What do you think?
It was around Christmas.
It was around Christmas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I heard that there was a World Champion,
mm-hmm.
and I was not too sure that I could actually go because I was 7 at that time. But now that I'm 8, I could play in the 8 and I can play in the 8s. Yeah. And I got really excited because I was starting to get better and better. And yeah.
Yeah, we got I hadn't heard much about it. We followed it last year, but some of the dads of the kids that placed in last year's tournament had seen Sarah's results. In fact, it's almost a year ago, on the 6th of August, I think it was, we played in the Global Women's Challenge. Yeah. And that was her very first tournament. And those dads saw the results and started writing to us saying that you have to come. And I thought, it's a long way for a 7 or an 8-year-old. But then as she got better at it, we thought, maybe we do go and have a holiday.
Absolutely. I think what Dad's saying, Sarah, is it's a long way for him to have to sit on a plane and then drive all the way to Peoria. I think that's a dad problem.
Did you know how far we drove? Do you remember how far? 5,000 kilometres we did.
Oh, my word.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a decent nudge.
A decent nudge. I like that.
Outrageous.
Just up the road.
So,
Yeah.
Sarah, how did the tournament compare to the New Zealand tournaments you've been to? Obviously, there was more people there.
Yeah, well, there's not much people actually playing in Christchurch, but when you get over to America, there's a lot. And when I was throwing, I just felt different because there was way more children that I could play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet that was exciting having all those other kids sort of around your same age and meeting all of those. Is that super fun?
Yeah, because I've never played with an 8-year-old in an actual competition, competitive competition.
Awesome.
Did you feel? Is it right? Can you feel pressure as a 7 or 8-year-old? Did you feel any differently when you were playing? Did you feel the pressure of it being a world championship, or were you just like, I'm in a different country, I'm on holiday, I'm gonna have some fun and play some disc golf?
Well, I was trying to be very confident and consistent, and also just keep my focus. But also sometimes I can have some fun now and then.
we talked before she went that, you know, in competition, when you're building for something, all the hard work's done before. The actual comp should be fun because you've done all the hard work, and that was what we wanted to do. Was when we got over there, we wanted to have as much fun as we could, because we're throwing plastic. Well, Sarah was, in some of the most amazing courses that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then doing it in a major tournament as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a favorite course over there, Sarah?
Yeah.
What was your favorite, and what made it that one?
Because I liked having
Trees.
like trees, because it like really like it can make me get my aim right.
Oh, you
So
wouldn't-
trees help your aim?
Yeah, because well, not really, but sometimes, because we go out now and then and we just practice through the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Brady, this is world champion mentality, not something that I think either of you or I might understand. Trees are good.
Yeah.
Apparently,
it was
you
something
hear it from
to
the
say.
world champ. Heard it here first.
I think we hit
So
one tree in Northwood.
Oh yeah, because
When
my
she
foot
did-
keeps slipping.
She couldn't stand on the hill. It had been storming, and she kept slipping. So she just sort of stood and threw, and that was the only tree she hit in the holes that she played.
Oh no, because I did a jump. I hit the tree in front of me.
Oh,
Well,
so Sarah, was that your favourite course, Northwood?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to play there one day.
Oof. You're
And
a
so,
brave man.
how many different courses did you play whilst in the competition?
I played
4.
4.
4 different courses.
Yeah.
And were you playing with the same group of people through on each kind of card?
Yeah.
So you've got some pretty good friends now then.
Except for the final. The first and second people only do the final.
Okay, I see.
You had a bit of a challenge on your hand, I believe. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. And I know you'll be able to tell me, but the young lady that she managed to win all of the side events, the long drive and the putting.
Yes. Her name's called Haniel.
That's the one.
All I can say is she rips far.
She's got
Wow.
a booming arm on her. Like,
That's coming from the world record holder.
oh,
Exactly. That was my thoughts.
I was talking to Haniel's mum, because I said to her, Haniel, every throw she's throwing over the world record, like 80-meter holes, she was parking it. And
Wow.
and I said, oh, you know, I can't, she just absolutely rips. And she said, well, she's the youngest of 5 and she just tries to keep up. And her older sister, she threw 147 meters, I think it was.
Yeah, I think her older
And
sister
she's
did
17.
Did her older sister win the
Yes.
the FJ 18 division? I think.
Yeah, Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable family. They're so nice. And Haniel, she's an absolute rock star. She's going to be so good. So which is great. The officials kept saying to us, you know, to have 2 in the 8s in the girls, that their rating for the tournament was about 100 over what it had been in previous years. And to get 2 of them doing that, they're really excited.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. Incredible.
No, I think we'll find another one here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Certainly hope so. You've certainly given a lot of inspiration to a lot of children who will look at it and go, "I can do that." You know, there'll be plenty of people who see your journey and the golf you're playing and go, "I can do that as well." And I think that's fantastic. That you know, you're inspiring and encouraging another group of players who maybe even players who are older than you just to pick up some discs and have a go. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Awesome stuff.
So you've got some pretty big plans afoot. after this victory, so we hear. Is that right? Do you want to talk us through some of the things that you've got going on?
Yeah, so I am inventing something that's called First Throws, where you can come out to a course and we'll just have your first throw. And if it's not your first throw, you can probably beat me.
We're really keen. Like, Sarah's the only one in her age group, so we're really keen to develop that more. And you were right, Matt. We're coming back, going to her school. We got invited in for, I guess, a show and tell, and the kids just all wanted to go out and throw a frisbee, which is so good. So it just got us thinking. I was talking with Eilish about, trying to create some programs, and we've come up with First Throws, where we're just going to work and try and get more girls into the sport, play on some shorter courses and modified holes, and just work. Sarah and Eilish will do some coaching with the kids. We've got some backers which we'll announce. RPM have said they will definitely help us out with some discs to give out to the kids, and just, I guess, ease them into playing socially and then hopefully competitively, and the junior ranks will take off. Good, we got some brilliant juniors in New Zealand already. When you think of Levi, who's now moving out of them, but you've got Jai and Magnus from down here in Christchurch, Alison down in Invercargill, who's just ripping it, and then Connor, and they're the ones that I can think of. Connor's 11, turning 12, and just shooting. I think he won at Tucker's. So we're like, the talents here, especially after seeing the Worlds. The players that we know are not out of place, and it's like there's got to be some more Sarahs out there that are just waiting to get into it. And yeah, this is a way of getting them into it in a casual environment and moving them forward.
Yeah, because of course there was the New Zealand Under-15 Junior Championships that was held this weekend, just gone as well, in Christchurch. Yep. And if we just take a quick look at the results for that, Sarah, you took out you won your division, but with a very competitive competitive score. The
-6.
6 under's fantastic.
I'm not playing with her anymore.
Magnus Davidson took out the MJ15 under 15 division quite handsomely by 17 strokes. Alison Tweedy took out the FJ15 division comfortably, and Miller Johnson took out the MJ10. So congratulations to all of them. Paul, you went to the you would have been there at the weekend at Christchurch. How have you seen the change in junior disc golf since Sarah started playing? Is that
because I mean, like anything, the juniors were kind of getting dragged along by mum and dad, but now we've actually got players who are coming out to play, as a sport that they want to be involved in, and I think the more we get like that, the bigger it's going to become. So watching that growth and having the junior series, the time of the year, it was, I think last time you played, it was 37 degrees and we rocked up at Jelly, it was -2. So it was a wee bit of a difference, but just having it was just such a fantastic thing. Yeah. And having, TDs such as Ewan, who have gone away, we're looking at playing in the Ascot tournament in a couple of weeks' time, and he's looking at putting in some shorter tees, and there is a stipulation where the younger ones can only play one round in a 2-round tournament. So it's great that the TDs are now starting to look at it and include some of the younger ones, and the more they do that, I think the more they'll come along. It's like anything, it's just really hard to get something to move first. But once we get it moving, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I really appreciate Ewan up in Christchurch there.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of good things. I've had some really good chats with him on, how they want to move the sport forward in Christchurch, and only good things coming, especially from his direction.
He just sent me all the information, just saying, "Hey, I'm looking at doing this. Would you be interested?" And I didn't even know that there was a stipulation where the PDGA say if you're under 8, it's 18 holes should be the max for a day. And I thought that was brilliant. And he's gone out and remeasured a course so that we can come along and play, because I looked through disc golf scene, and there was not a lot of tournaments that I felt Sarah could go and play in. It's not so much the length, but doing the 2 rounds in one day. She's 8. And now that I think if people look at that, we can get a few more of these players, and I'm hoping that our first throws will dovetail into that. We can just get a few more along. They don't feel so intimidated throwing on a 200-meter hole. I think the largest hole you played was 147 meters at the Worlds, which was great. I might add, Honeywell was putting for eagle on that hole. I didn't think you could putt for eagle on that hole. Both Sarah and Honeywell took a birdie, but it was just really exciting that the girls were real excited that they were getting pars and birdies, and including the other 2 girls. Actually, going back to the tournament that was played at the weekend, one of my favourite comments came from the under 10s card, and I just heard one of the lads, I didn't see him, he just called out, "Riley, I got my first par." And I just thought that was brilliant, because that's what it's about. That's the part he'll take away from that. He got his first par. I think Ewan's daughter got her first birdie as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
At that tournament. So those sorts of things, because they were slightly smaller holes, it was real exciting for them.
Yeah, I mean, no one likes to get beaten up by a course, right? And you're absolutely right that perhaps in the past there hasn't been too much of a focus for giving alternative tee pads, whether that's to juniors or whether it's to ladies. And so, I think if this is if we've got someone who's had your experience, Sarah, then I think that's gonna prompt TDs to provide that option. And to provide those alternative tees. Obviously, there's some places out there who do it really well. Like Topor, for example, has got many tee options for many of its holes, and there are other courses that do it very well. That will be upset I've not mentioned them, but that there are those out there, and it would be something that I'd love to see more of.
Yeah, you'd like to play more.
Yeah.
Especially when you get and having is Jelly Park your local course? Is that the one closest to you?
We hang out at either, because we're out east, so
so Brooker
or Ascot or Queen's Park. We spend a lot of time at Queen's Park, and actually Jelly and Warren before we went away. I looked at the courses that should be playing, and looked at the aerial footage. The one thing we didn't account for is how hilly the courses would be. We got the foliage right, but the hills were, we thought, like, oh, okay, these are very steep, and the baskets all placed, sort of halfway on the side, so roll away and play. And we changed once we did our practice rounds. We kind of changed our strategy. And it worked, because out of 4.5 rounds at the Worlds, she didn't have one double bogey. So very happy.
That's
well done.
That's real good.
Yeah. I tell you what, Sarah, I'm very jealous of you. I wish I was as lucky to have Queen's Park right on my doorstep. I grew up 2 streets away from the Queen's Park course many years ago, and I never got to play there. And I always played in the playground at that school for about for years. Never got to play, so you're very lucky.
So is he around?
No, you tell him. Next time he's up here.
Next time you're up here, I'm going to challenge you at Queen's.
Oh,
that was
gauntlet
aggressive.
Oh,
Coming for you, Morgan. You think you win your MA1 division.
Yeah, right.
World champ got
I'm a little
target on your
terrified
back.
after that. You looked right down the camera at me right there. Well, I tell you, Sarah, I accept.
Oh, good on you,
Wait,
Sarah.
Matt, can we do tipping on that one?
We'll set some odds up for that one. Yeah,
I got Sarah by 3.
All
I
right.
was going to say, how many handicap shots do I get?
Does he get any
That's
handicap
outrageous.
shots, or do you
Nah.
get them? No.
I don't know. No, he can have handicap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
we'll
now,
work the details out.
A little birdie told us that you might have something special coming out, not only in your program, but discs that might be going into hands. Is that true, Sarah?
Yes. So, I'm releasing my World Champs stamp, and
We've got it up on the screen now. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Well, it'll come up shortly.
It's up on the screen for all the viewers.
And so what disc is that going to be on, Sarah?
mostly like a P-Walk and a
It'll be on several. Sarah has a few discs that she uses quite a bit, and I ended up just saying to Jacko, whatever you've got, just so we use the Takapu, the Kia, the Kutuku, and the Tui a lot. And I said any of those will be fine. Oh, the P-Walk. So any of those will be fine. So we should have them next week. And if people, I don't know if I'm just trying to have a look down the side there. If people want to win one, we're going to give away the very first one tonight.
This is incredible. This is incredible. So the way you're going to enter this is you need to put ! Sarah into the chat. Put ! Sarah into the chat, and that's how you get your entry into the draw. And we'll do the draw a little bit later on in the show, and then we'll pass the details on to Paul. So 2 Crow 9 is in the draw already, straight in. So ! Sarah into the chat comments. Put your and get your entry in if you want to win one of these discs. So will it just be a random RPM mold that with the?
I just told Jacko, whatever you've got, mate. just instead of just waiting for specific molds to come in.
Oh wow, they've all come through now. There's
I said, just.
You get number one. Number one is going in the competition.
Yeah, I was going to say 1 of 1. Incredible. Are you going to sign it for him, Sarah?
Sure.
Yeah, World Champ signature on World Champ disc. I love it.
Love it.
What made you choose the Pakeko?
Because it's a New Zealand bird that it hasn't been stamped on a disc before, and they're really cool.
That's a very east side bird as well, let's be honest.
Very much. We see
Very much.
Pakekos out here.
Oh yeah.
I see there's hundreds of them in Wellington. It's a very well-known bird here. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so look, if you want to get involved in winning that that stamped specials Sarah Wadsworth stamped RPM disc, the very first one, then put ! Sarah into the comments. Hundreds of people have done that already. We'll be doing the draw a little bit later on. We're going to move on now to Desert Island Disc Golf because we want to get to know you a little bit more. Okay, this is a section of the show where we get to know you more than we currently do. So the premise is this: if you've not seen it before, Sarah is stranded on a desert island. There is a disc golf course on this desert island, and she's been stranded with 3 of her favorite discs and 3 of her favorite card mates. Now, her card mates can be living or dead. They can be real or imaginary. They can be seasoned pros or people she knows. It can be anyone you like. So, Sarah, what are you throwing on your desert island?
Tapu for putter.
Hey.
Takapu, excellent. Why do you like the Takapu? And like, why do you like it instead of...
Nice grip. I like the magma. It's a nice grip, and when it hits the chains, it just drops nicely.
Is that a magma soft, medium, or hard?
Medium.
Perfect.
Yeah. The
Next
magma
one is-
plastic is feels really good in the hand, eh?
Is that a bottom stamp Pewok?
No,
Kotuku.
it's a Kotuku.
Ooh,
It's a platinum one.
Very
nice.
And then you have to say who it's signed by.
Okay, and then I've got my diamond, and it's signed by Tom Walsh.
Woo.
Wow.
There you go. I got this out for you, Sarah. It just happened to be right next to me, but we'll say I got it out for you. I call it my cannonball shot foot.
All right.
Excellent. So a Takapoo, a Pewok, and a diamond.
No, it was a Kotuku and a
Kotuku.
diamond.
Tuku
Yeah.
and a diamond. Oh,
Good for
okay.
forehanding, isn't it?
I like it.
Oh, okay.
The diamonds.
He uses the strata. She's got a light strata Kotuku as well, and forehanding, it's just money. Yeah.
Chef kiss. Or champ kiss, we should call it.
Okay, and who are your card mates? Who would you take with you to the desert?
Minnie Mouse.
Minnie Mouse.
Yes!
Okay. I think she'd have a good scramble game. Honestly, I think
Yeah.
she'd be good at that. Yeah.
Paige Pierce.
Paige Pierce.
Ooh.
Yeah. Fully healed Paige Pierce.
With an E, yeah.
Yeah, and Simon Lazat.
And Simon Lazar.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a real fun card.
That does sound like a lot, and you've got a lot of. That's going to be incredible. That would be very entertaining. I think those three. They're all very, very fun. Good stuff. Right, now we're going to move on to the quick fire round. Okay, so now no pressure, but so the first 9 questions is the family friendly front 9. Okay, same 9 questions to every guest who comes on the show, and then there's the safari back 9. Different 9 questions for every guest, and it takes the form of a this or that. So we're going to give you 2 options, and you've got to pick the one that you like the most, and it's quick fire, so quick as you can. Okay. So the family friendly front 9. What is your name?
Sarah.
Where were you born?
Christchurch.
Where do you live now?
Christchurch.
How many years have you been playing?
1.
What's your PDGA number?
27315.
What's your favorite disc?
Diamond.
Your favorite course?
Probably Queen's Park or Warren.
Your favorite MPO player?
Men.
I just pick
Favorite men's player.
Ricky Wasaki.
And your favorite FPO player?
Kona.
Excellent.
Nice.
Kona.
Good stuff.
Young
Team DD.
Morgan, take us through the back 9.
All right, Sarah. So I want to know, what was more fun, being on TV or teaching Fitzy and Hills how to play disc golf?
Teaching Fitzy and Hills to play disc golf.
Okay. Would you rather bring all of your new friends from the USA to play disc golf in New Zealand with you, or would you rather go back to the USA and play there with them?
Get my friends to come to New Zealand.
That's what I wanted to hear. Do you prefer gymnastics or athletics?
Gymnastics.
Ooh. Paige Pierce or Kristen Tata? And I think I know the answer.
Kristen Tata.
Ooh.
Oh. Takapoo or Tui?
Tugpoo.
Do you prefer to crush a long drive or to sink a big putt?
Sink a big pot.
Sink a big putt, but off the tee, right?
Yeah.
A real easy one. Ice cream or lollies?
Ice cream.
Mm.
There's an ice cream song. Sorry, I'll come back to that.
Do you prefer homework or disc golf practice?
Disc golf practice.
And who cooks better, mum or dad?
Mum.
Oh,
That's outrageous. I know he's accepting it. He's taking it.
Yeah, he took it in stride.
That's fair.
that's your back 9, Sarah. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was good fun, and it was great to get to know you a little bit more. Now, do we want to do this draw now, or do we want to wait for a few more people to put their comments in? What do you want to do?
What do you reckon, Sarah? I think there's a few people in there already. Had to be hot on the finger, hot on the press.
I think do it now.
Do it now. Okay, here we
Champ
go.
says, "Do it now."
Here we go. Right, so you've got about 20 seconds to get your entry in. If you've not put in exclamation marks, Sarah,
the ice cream
into your
story.
comments.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's this ice cream story of yours?
We went out for dinner when we were in Peoria, and Sarah's never been to an all-you-can-eat place. So we had our food, and then we said, well, you can take your plate, you can go back and get more. And she goes, what, anything? And I went, yeah, anything. She came back with this plate of ice cream, just piled. She said, well, you said anything. And she ate that.
You finish it all?
Round 2, ice cream.
Let's go.
That's what you're doing if it's all you can eat.
Absolutely. Take advantage of it.
Right.
Take advantage.
Breakfast of champions.
Right. Let's get the draw done. Let's get this up on the screen. Sarah, we've got the draw up onto the screen. Do you want to give us a countdown? A 3, 2, 1?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, spin.
Here it comes.
Oh, Eilish is in there.
The winner is...
Here it comes.
the winner is Brett Carlisle.
Hey,
Congratulations to Brett for winning that one. Very good. We'll pass Brett's details on to
congrats, Brett.
Congratulations. Look, Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. It's always great to speak to somebody who's got a different kind of view and different set of experiences than just wheeling out people who win tournaments in New Zealand. So it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on. Thank you so much for staying up late and talking with us. And thank you, Paul, for joining us as well. The stories
thanks
from America sound fantastic.
And all of you three, make sure to check out my Instagram page. If you're already
It's a Little Miss Disc Golf, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So check out her Instagram, and if you want to stay up to date with everything Sarah's doing, and keep on the lookout for that for her world's
first throws.
First throws and the stamp disc.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll speak to you again, I'm sure. But for now, have a good rest of the evening.
And
See you guys.
And thank
See you for ice cream soon.
Yeah.
See you
Thank
soon,
you,
guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.
See ya.
There we go. What an
Fantastic.
experience, eh? What a journey to have gone on it for someone who's so young.
She's been playing for a year, and she's a world champion. It's crazy.
Like it. For the first thing is it probably took me way more than a year to get better, to get as good as she is in my own personal journey. And like, if I knew how to play that well when I was 8, I'm just like, that's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, I didn't throw a frisbee till I was 19. Like,
well, you've played Jelly Park, right, Matt?
I have, yes.
Have you thrown 6 down?
I think that's my PB. I think 6 down.
Because that's what she just won the junior division with, was a 6 down.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean it's incredible, and it's only going to go get better from here, right? The sky's the limit. She's still got a good 10 years of growing, right? And before and practicing before she gets to like be kind of adult age. So it's going to be incredible to watch that journey and to see how she goes. I think it's important actually that New Zealand disc golf follows and supports the journey of someone like that in the way in which it designs its courses, in the way in which it tailors its tournaments to ensure that, you know, you can get the maximum from somebody who's got a talent at a young age.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see with Sarah throughout the next 10 years or so is like a multi, not just disc golf, but a multi-sport athlete that's competing at the very top end. You know, she's out there in athletics doing really, really big things over there as well. So I don't know. She could be a world champ at something else before the age of 10, 16. You know, she's definitely got all the skill, ability, focus, drive to go out there and just do whatever she wants, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, very best of luck to her, and we'll be following the journey as she goes on it. Right. Now, something that also happened over the last week, which kind of caught people a little bit by surprise. I mean, it gets announced at this kind of time most years, but it kind of caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it. I was just sort of scrolling through, and it jumped out at me, and that was about proposed rule changes coming up for 2024. Okay, so the process that the PDGA go through here is they propose a set of rule changes that they wish to make for the starting in the calendar year 2024, right? And it's a proposal at this stage. Okay, this is all on the PDGA website. This is a proposal at this stage, and then they seek feedback from PDGA members. Anybody, if you're a member of the PDGA, you can give your feedback on this, and then the rules committee at the PDGA consider all of the inputs from everybody who's put their thoughts forward, and decide to either go ahead, tweak, change, abandon the changes that they've proposed. Okay, and that happens a bit later on in the year, but right now we're at the stage where they've made the proposal, and this year there's some interesting changes, Brady.
Yeah, one or two maybe, depending on, you know, how in depth you read.
Well, this is it. We're not going to go through all of them, right? Because as I said before, this is a TLDR. Yeah. This is a too long didn't read. If you just want highlights, right? You just want the ones that we've picked out as we believe are the most noteworthy. Then we're going to pick those ones out for you. There are more that affect different kind of conditions, which you can read about on the PDGA site. If you put PDGA proposed rule changes 2024 into Google, it'll be the top link. Right. So the first one, and I'm actually so pleased with this one, right? I'm really, really pleased with this, that they've said that moving casual objects further from the target than the front edge of the lie is now allowed. The amount of times that I would go to my lie and move a stick that I wasn't going to tread on, but I just felt like it was in the way, right? And then I kind of second guessed myself and thought, oh, am I allowed to do that? Is someone gonna say something? Because if it wasn't yet like you, if my supporting point wasn't going to be placed on it, then currently I'm not allowed to move it. But this is now saying that I can move it if I feel like it's. Well, in fact, it doesn't. I don't even need to give a reason for it. I can just move it if it's further away from the target than the front edge of my lie, right? Correct.
Yep. So dead and unattached and behind the lie, you can move it. It does not. It no longer needs to affect your stance. So yeah, that's a lot of people are approving that. You'll see there's footage. I think very famously after the rule took effect, you saw Chris Dickerson was playing in the woods at in Appling, Georgia, at like Champions Cup or whatever, and you saw him take like a really, really wide stance so that he could like move a rock out of his way. But yeah, this will help with all those run-ups, with all those sticks, twigs, slips, leaves, whatever. Yeah, it's a good rule. I'm looking forward to it.
You can just sweep the stuff away that's out that's behind your line. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Spectators, other players, your disc golf bag.
You'd be walking around with just a small half-size rake attached to your bag there.
Well, maybe, but yeah.
You joke. It was one of the best things at Worlds. Some dude who had a cart had a like normal kitchen broom like on his cart, and he was sweeping off every tee pad. It was like the greatest thing. I loved having him on my cart.
I rate that.
So first one, thumbs up from us. We very much approve of that rule change. Now the second one that we're going to talk about is scoring. Now this one has probably got the potential to be a little bit controversial, or at least cause a little bit of a kerfuffle. All players will now be required to keep score for the whole group.
Ta-da!
Okay? So now previously, how the rule currently states is that the first person on the scorecard that gets read out or like appears top of the list on the PDJ app has got responsibility for doing the scoring, and then it's usually assumed that someone else will also do it, either on the app or on a bit of paper as well. And providing you've got two people doing it, that's usually all right. Is that pretty much how it goes, right?
Yep. Though I think a lot of people don't know about that, like top of the score, so that if you are like head of the card or lead on the card,
then
you're the responsible one. I don't think a lot of people know that or follow that, to be honest.
Honestly, most of the time I've played, you kind of look at each other, and if no one kind of puts my hand up, then I'll do it. And if I don't feel like doing it, I'll say my phone's run out of battery. And so,
I don't get service out here. We're out in the boonies.
That old chestnut.
That top of the card thing came from before a lot of players that are playing now will have even experienced before, because it comes from when you had your paper scorecards out, didn't it? And
go to collect them.
When they read out the cards, top player on the card gets the cards and is responsible for them.
Yeah.
Obviously slightly different in the digital age.
So now what they're proposing is that everybody on the scorecard needs to keep score. Now, presumably you can do this on a piece of paper and a pen. You can go old school if you want. You can do it through the app. You can do it through UDisc. You can do it presumably in any way which allows you to, they'll probably define it in terms of how it goes to keeping score, but that's what they're saying, right? That every player must keep scorecards. You can delegate it to a caddy if you wish.
Correct.
Right? So if you've got a caddy going with you, then great. If you don't have a caddy, many people in New Zealand don't have caddies for the most part. Then you will be keeping your score yourself. And after each hole is completed, every player records the score for every other player. Now, there's actually a benefit to doing this, right? Which is a bit further down, which if a player submits a scorecard where their total score are incorrect or improperly recorded, then they are penalized. But they're not penalized if another member of the group submits an incorrect scorecard, right? Which was happening previously. So now the responsibility, although is on each person, you're not relying on someone else to get it right, potentially for you to get a penalty.
No, it goes back to, it's your score on your card.
Yeah. So I think this is I think this is interesting. Now, as I've spoken about on the show before, and Brady and Morgan, you will both know this, I keep score during the round. I enjoy watching scores and looking at scores throughout the round as I'm playing it. I don't have an issue with seeing scores during the round. Not a lot. I have to say I'm probably in a minority when I say that's particularly at the top level. Not that I've ever played at the top level, but for people who do play at the top level, I suspect that I would be in a minority. But now everybody's going to have to keep score. Now they won't necessarily have to keep the running score. They can either get that app to hide it, or if it's on a bit of paper, they may not be adding it up. But how, chaps, do you think? I don't think this rule will really affect me a great deal, but Brady, Morgan, what are your thoughts on this?
Sorry, I've just lost headphones.
All right, Brady, what do you think about this?
Well, I personally don't like keeping score and don't like keeping track of score as I play. I like to focus one shot at a time and be very much in the moment. So it's good due to the fact that I like that it takes the discrepancy out. So there's no like, oh, I don't have battery, I don't have reception, whatever it is, that everyone has to keep it. it just kind of brings it back in. It used to be back before the app and everything came in and live scoring. The idea of it was your score on your card. I know that it'll be big teething issues for like the first couple years as it goes through, like people scoring on the app, people getting used to like carrying their phones with battery. TDs, like getting used to, they'll probably have to keep paper scorecards and pencils around again so that people can have it. I mean, like I can only imagine what Paradise is going to be next year. You know what I mean? Like the idea of you're in the middle of nowhere. Morgan, is there reception out at Paradise now?
Oh no, not really until Starlink comes in. But I mean, you're talking right now, say 80 people. You're talking what, 320 scorecards?
That's a lot of printing.
It's a freaking TD's nightmare.
Wow. So Morgan, what do you think about this rule change?
It's not for me. Personally, it's not for me. I think where we're at right now is really good. I think the addition of I think having two's enough. Mm-hmm. I think having two's enough, and checking your scores, and obviously if you've got a conflict on the PDGA app right now, it shows up right away. It's plenty.
Okay. What do you think, everyone at home? What do you think? Would you be in favour of this? Remember, this is a proposed rule at the moment. It does not come into play. It is not in play currently. And even if this does go into play exactly as it's written now, it won't take effect until the 1st of January 2024. So what do you think about this change? Do you enjoy keeping scores? Are you one of those guys who's like, oh yeah, nah, I've got no battery, and then because I'll be honest with you, I've done that before, right? I've said that I've got no battery when I've had battery, and it's just because I don't fancy doing it. And don't look at me like that, Brady. You've done it as well. And so...
No, I never have. I kept scoring the states, man, at World on my Kiwi cell phone. So don't even my battery's dead.
Look, everybody's done it.
Battery's dead.
Everybody's
it's just so you can
freaking
right? keep following live scores.
Yeah. I'm someone who likes to follow scores, right? Because I like to watch drama unfold live, and so I that's what I don't mind seeing scores or keeping score, honestly. And in fact, I certainly volunteer more than I claim my battery is dead. By probably orders of magnitude.
So right. What happened that day when you didn't want to take score? I need to know what was going on.
I probably just had a cob on and just in a bad mood, to be honest. So
Devin didn't sleep that night, like early dad syndrome.
Probably one or more of those things. Yeah. Right. We're now going to move on to the next one, and this is about D tiers. You heard that right. They are introducing D tiers. Okay. Now, the introduction of D tiers is in order, as far as I'm reading it, is so that they can make changes to C tiers that to bring them. Well, we'll talk about what those changes are, but also allow tournaments to be sanctioned without some of those requirements. Is that kind of right, Brady, as I've kind of read it?
I don't quite read it that way, no. Okay. So for me, it brings in more flexibility at the bottom tier. So like they have elevated C tiers. So the idea that they've brought some rules in, like you have to be a PDGA member in order to compete in a C tier.
Yeah.
C tiers are still like 2 rounds, 1 day. Mm-hmm. So the idea of, I think what they're trying to encourage is they brought in more flexibility in D tier. So D tier can be 1 round. So Paul Wadsworth just talked about all of these 1 round events. The idea that can be sanctioned now. So you can have a 1 day, 1 round event with a flex start and have that be a D tier, which I think is awesome. And then the idea of it helps like elevate C tiers a little bit, because I think what they're trying to do is bring more formality into C tiers due to the fact that not with like national tours in the elite series kind of having pulled away and like elevated like an A tier. The idea of a lot of people are going to play a 1 day 2-round A tier event, like say a state championship in Michigan or Maine or Florida, in the States anyway. And so the idea of with the A tier being that top tier and those selling out quickly, like we're already seeing at C tiers in New Zealand, by bringing in this D tier, it brings in more flexibilities to TDs, but then also kind of elevates C tiers to be a bit more formal so that there's kind of a clear path from like D to C to B to A. So it kind of smooths out that transition a little bit.
Is there a big difference? And forgive me, like I said to you, Matt, I read this at 5:30 in the morning when it first came out, and I haven't had a chance to reread it. But is there a massive difference between this new D tier and an XC tier?
Yeah, so X typically comes in when it's like you could play an object course. That's when like X comes in. I think when the hazard rule of first was introduced at USDGC, that was an X tier event and not an A tier.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so X brings in a lot of like fun rules. So like weird shot doubles, like Paradise would have been X tier, like classic Paradise with like objects and stuff. Yep. So that's what X tier does. So the idea of if you played, say, Teanau with the like homemade baskets that haven't been approved, that would be an X tier event at whatever level.
They have been upgraded now. They've got 18 Helix.
Oh, do they? Damn, I missed. Dude, the lobster pots were great. For those who haven't played, they're lobster pots, hopefully somewhere still in existence in Teanau. Hopefully.
Yeah, and for those that haven't played, that is one of the nicer courses around the country, just to be in. Not so much the actual disc golf, but just to be playing in that course in that part of the world, it's incredible. If you get the opportunity, go down there and see Grant and the guys, because it's amazing.
But so D tier is just the step down. So all the normal rules and everything apply. It just brings it flexible and makes it like just a taster, as it were.
Also means it also allows flex starts. So flex starts.
I was just about to say that's a really interesting one. That flex starts weren't. They were in that grey area for C tiers before.
Yeah.
So Morgan, you ran the Paul Macbeth Foundation fundraiser.
They were all flex starts, and I talked to PDJ. I talked to PDJ about that too, and they were fine with it. I think I didn't realize how much of a grey area they actually sat in at that point.
Yep.
So D tiers, interesting addition. Also means that you need to be a member, a PDGA member, if you want to play in a C tier. Okay?
Correct.
So that will change. That might change the some of the events that we see here in New Zealand potentially.
I think you can still pay the fee to not be a member and play it. If I did read that correctly, there is that $10 fee you can still pay.
Correct. And I'll put a giant caveat over this whole conversation of we are technically under the international program guide. So the idea of a lot of this stuff that is coming through might only apply to the States or might only apply to like the states in Europe or might only apply to like states, Europe and Canada. There is a possibility that some of these rules will not make it to New Zealand and not need to be enforced in New Zealand. There's a good chance that a lot of them will be, most likely. Little insider knowledge, New Zealand Disc Golf is already kind of talking about this. So I've been working with Andrew Fleming quite closely, and we've been having conversations about what does this mean? What does it imply? And like that kind of stuff. But yes, there is the possibility that all of these may come into place, but none of them need to happen in New Zealand because we fall under a different international rule set.
Yeah, and they're looking to keep it that way from what we know, and you know as well, as they're wanting to keep it that way so we can still grow the sport and not have to have people paying extra money to be involved when they're only learning the game. So it's all about the growth of the sport here.
Yeah, and that's, from what I can tell, that's what most of these rules are. They're kind of simplifying and going back to very kind of like clean-cut rules rather than those little niggly, like nickel and dime kind of things.
And the final one that we wanted to point out was around divisional shuffling. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Was it in the minor changes? It might have been in the minor changes section.
So I guess the big one is with this, the idea of at like C tier and above, currently in New Zealand, the idea of anyone playing, you can get shuffled with any other division. So it kind of like helps with that grassroots community feel, right? That like women can play with juniors, juniors can play with masters, masters can play with open. But the idea of going forward, C tier and above means that you cannot shuffle divisions. So if you register for MA1, you'll only be playing with MA1 players. If you register for FPO, you will only be playing with FPO players. So the idea of it kind of cancels out a little bit of that like grassroots community stuff. Again, will this come through for the international? I don't know, but it's really interesting that it does, it talks about there's like TD discretion on some of that stuff. So if you're watching this, like our podcast tonight, and you are a TD or you do run events, 100% read through these rules. A lot of the like stuff that we're not covering applies to TDs and how you run events, such as registration, things like this with shuffling divisions and that kind of stuff. So if you're TD, please read it. But yeah, so it's interesting like Morgan said, this probably won't make it to us because they want us to continue to grow, continue to have grassroots and grow that community. This is more for that professional side. They brought in a couple rules too that only apply to Elite Series. And I'm like, meh, no one needs to worry about that except Ethan and Levi.
Yeah, so what I would say is it's worth having a look through this. Now, if you haven't read this kind of thing before, the international standards are a far broader brush that is applied than in the States, and a big part of the international standards says TD discretion, which allows the tournament director to kind of do what they want. Now, some of those things have been taken away more recently, which, for example, the one that comes to mind is around payouts for B tiers.
Yeah, suggested
payouts for B tiers was something which was the international standard was brought in line with the US. But please have a read through it, and also give your feedback. Give your feedback to the PDGA if you feel that there's something on here that would cause a material difference to the enjoyment that you get from playing disc golf. Then please do feedback. Let's just have.
Do they have a feedback email attached to that?
Oh yes, they do. Yes, it's feedback@pdga.com or something very similar to that.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. No, it's
rules-feedback at PDGA.
Let's just have a look at some of the comments that we've had. Ryan says, all the people who don't have much battery left suddenly going to make more percent magically or bust out their abacuses. And Rich says, if my phone dies or loses reception mid-round, do I get +2? That sucks. Everyone needs paper cards if that comes in. I mean, it's a fair shout to do that. I guess it would be up to you to pick a scoring medium which has got the lowest risk of failure or take the risk, right?
At the same time, you do have 30 minutes after your round is over in which to submit your card. So you can, at that point, go to HQ or your accommodation or whatever it is, charge your phone enough to submit your card without succumbing to that penalty. Again, all of this wording isn't finalized. What actually gets finalized and goes in the book is when we'll be concerned. And so, yeah, I'm sure all of that will be clarified by the time it makes it into the rules January 1st.
Yeah, what? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the changes that come through, and we'll be following them as they go. But please let us know if there's anything that you feel that is that's going to cause a not a big problem, but like it's going to change your experience of a disc golf tournament. Otherwise, then
has there been any change to the Mando line rule yet?
No, that's how I didn't see any.
The Mando plane. No, I haven't seen anything.
I didn't.
Damn.
Morgan was upset with that one. Yeah.
It hasn't really stitched me up yet. I just don't like it.
Right. We are now going to move on to having a look at some upcoming events. Let's take a look. So we've got the Charteris Bay Charge coming up this weekend in Christchurch. Ascot Perfection is the week after on the 13th, and then Blood Sacrifice at the Confluence in Wanaka on the first weekend of September. Tauranga Extreme, the registration for this opened this week and sold out in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Absolutely
Working.
crazy. Did you get in? I saw the wait list was huge. I mean, I was never going to go to this one, but did Brady? You've played this one before. Were you planning on this one?
No, not this time. Tauranga is just a little bit too far away for me with my early starts. I used to start late, and so when I was working hospital, I could drive back and sleep in. But yeah, leaving friggin' Tauranga and driving 7-8 hours is just too much now.
Yeah.
I remember buying a highlighter yellow disc out the boot of your car at the Extreme about 7 years ago.
Sounds about right.
Doesn't it?
I had to start somewhere, right?
The registration for Thermal Throwdown in Topor also opened earlier on tonight at 7 o'clock, and this sold out in 6 minutes.
No, 3.
3 minutes. Well,
It opened at 7:30 and was sold out by 7.
Sorry, I was watching this. It opened at 7 o'clock, and I spoke to Steve Lawson earlier on today, who confirmed it for me. It opened at 7, and I was following it on the chat with some of the Masters players, Brett and Phil and Kath, etc. And we were all kind of going, right, go, and we got in, and I was following the sign up, so everybody managed to get in on the chat, which was good. But yeah, you had to be there, present, waiting for it in order to get through. So I think Rich is just confirmed 7 minutes for Topor to sell out.
Have you played? Taupo, I was actually about to say, have you played the Extreme map?
I've not played either, and Topor's one that I've been meaning to get to for a few years, and this year I'm going to be able to make it, which is fantastic. Looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Another one that I'm playing is the Rapper Rumble in Masterton on the 4th to 5th of November. This is going to be a lot of fun out at Henley Lake. Fantastic course. If you get a chance to, I know Masterton's a little bit, not on the common trail, but it's an absolutely fantastic course. Mark Clement's done a brilliant job down in Masterton around the lake there. Some really good holes, some tricky stuff, some opportunities, some frustrating holes, and some score separations. So some really nice little track out there. So that's been played on the first weekend in November. Moonbase follows that up a week later in Twizel. That's South Island Champs, the first major of the season. Bros for Change Charity Classic week after. Wahitapu in Lake Ohau, the first Elite Series event of the first Elite Series event, Morgan.
That's it. It's coming.
Egg Monster welcomes us in for the new year. North Island Champs, really looking forward to this one. Registration opens on the 3rd of September, so make sure that you are by a computer to get yourself in, or by your phone to get yourself into that on the 5th to 7th of January. Roxburgh the weekend after, Southern Smash the weekend after, Topor Classic, which is the week after that. That's coming soon. Found out about that one today. A Midsummer's Dream down in Christchurch is the same weekend. Nationals in Auckland in February, and Bottle Lake Open the week after.
And Garden City Open Easter weekend, if we're looking that far out.
Just announced
today.
Oh, excellent. Okay, I shall add that to the list. Garden City Open Easter weekend. Fantastic. Right, so it is the Charteris Bay Charge this weekend, gents. Who is your money on?
Is Jay Watkinson playing?
He is.
Yep.
Jay Watkinson.
Jay Watkinson is who your money's on. Jay Watkinson is also the favourite going into this. So he is the favourite of 4-1. Sebastian Faulkner at 7s. Andrew Popham at 10s. Ashton Clark and Jasper van der Meer at 11s. Willie Taratner at 12s.
I think Jasper's going to have a blinder again as well there. I think he'll play really, really well.
Yeah, is he your?
Yeah.
Well, he's not really an outsider, a fifth favorite, but certainly.
I'll call the upset. I'll pull Popham. Popham's
Yeah?
going to pop off at Chartreuse Bay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, it's Jay's first tournament back from the States. Obviously, Sebastian had a lot of success in his first one back, as did Levi. Although he was injured, we hear in America.
Yeah. So hopefully his finger is healed.
Hopefully that he's back to playing at the very top of his game. Let's have a quick look at the power
But regardless,
rankings.
if you're playing in Chartreuse Bay this weekend, have fun down there. Whether your name is Jay or not Jay.
That's a hell of a spot there, eh, Brady? You and I both have been there. You helped Dave set that up, I think, at the very beginning. You, him, and Craig. That's hell of a spot. Love that place.
Yep, super beautiful.
Yeah.
You got power rankings for us? Has data analytics been working?
They have the power rankings. So in the ladies division, Victoria Speller moves up just one spot to third place at the expense of Nicholas.
And she moved to Queenstown. Woohoo!
And she's now in the South Island, which means that the top five players in the ladies division are all based in. Laura's in Auckland, right? Is that right? Laura Kaishuk?
Yes.
Yeah. So the top
and Amy's Tadanaki.
Top 5 in the ladies division are all South Island.
Wow.
In the men's division, there's no change at the top. Levi Stout remains top of the rankings. Conor McKinstry moves up 2 spots at the expense of Sebastian Faulkner, and Ben Willake moves up 8 spots to 9th. Andrew Popham moves up 1 spot, and Isaac Sassanuma Howard finds himself in the top 20 as well. Although we must do a quick shout out. Excuse me, to the other big movers this week. Hayden Edgley, who came 4th at the Tucker Beach Rush, has moved up. I think it was 51 places. I'm just bringing the results up here. You can see getting his managing to take out Sebastian at the at Tucker Beach really pushed him up. He went up 51 places to 25th. And none other than our own Morgan Hartfeld also was the big winner this week, moving up 47 places to 33rd. So congratulations to you, Morgan.
Hello.
I think I beat Sebastian too. Sorry, Sebastian.
Yeah, you did.
Man, that wintry weather.
I'll take that any time I can. I'll never do it. I can't live down getting smashed by him at Queenstown on the last hole.
You know he's going to spank you at the next tournament, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Finally, the final thing that we want to talk about, that I want to talk about today, is next week's episode. I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time because the data analytics team have been researching, fighting, trying to do some pretty cool stuff, and they've actually managed a breakthrough. So earlier on today, they confirmed that by next week, in one data source, i.e. one big spreadsheet, we'll have every sanctioned round of disc golf played in New Zealand. What this means is that they can do a whole bunch of analysis on comparing rated sanctioned disc golf over the years. This goes back to right at the very first one, the very first Bob Gentle Classic or whatever it's called, back in 1990 something.
1919? Wow, that's really going back.
It was and so I mean, I jest. I can tell you what the first one was. But we're basically,
was it 1981?
The first one was the Gentle Topor Classic and North Island Championships was held on the 24th to the 25th of September. Guess the year.
I said 81.
2005 was the first.
What?
Was the first sanctioned tournament in New Zealand was 2005.
Crazy.
There you go.
Hartlepool Park had been in the ground for 3 years at that
yeah,
point.
but there hadn't been a PGA sanctioned event in New Zealand until that point.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at all the results from all of the tournaments that have been played in New Zealand since then, and just to give you an idea of the kind of number. Also, just to give you an idea of the number, actually, the most recent tournament played at Tucker Beach was like number 70,000, the 70,000th tournament or something on the PDGA site. You can see it because the tournament code in the URL when you go onto the PDGA website tells you it's 70,000 and something. The very first one in New Zealand was 5,437. So it gives you an idea of how far away it was. Since then, there's been over 250 sanctioned events in New Zealand, and the data analytics team will soon have every single rated.
Yeah, with like
in one
50
spot.
of those coming in the last 2 years.
Well, this brings me on to my next point, which is next week's episode will be a showcase of all of these stats, and will include, and we all love this, it's going to involve a quiz, right? You can't beat, there's nothing like a battle of wits.
Sweet chain quiz.
Sweet chain quiz. So here's how it's going to work. Okay, it's very technical, this one, so try to stay with us. You will need next week a piece of paper and a pen. And then whilst you're watching the episode, you can write down your answers. You can then mark them as we go along. We'll go through the answers as at the end, and then give yourself a score and let us know if you've done particularly well. And if you beat Brady and Morgan, who will be taking the quiz next week. If you want to
Morgan, you're going down, brother.
If you want to do research, then you can. But some of the stuff that, some of the questions that I'm going to be asking will be very difficult to research if you don't have the access to the data set that we'll be looking at. It's going to be a lot of fun. The whole point is to one, have a bit of fun, but also two, to show some of the trends, some of the patterns which have been happening in New Zealand disc golf. Show where some of the gaps might be, some of the areas that that we can improve on as a country, as a community, and also celebrate some of the successes of some of the people who have played some pretty incredible disc golf in this country over the years. So we'll be doing that next week. Look out for that next Thursday. All right. That about wraps it up for us today. Chaps, anything else to add?
No, thanks, Sarah. Awesome to have her on, and Paul.
Yeah, absolutely was. Very best of luck to everybody playing at the Charters Bay Charge this weekend, and wherever you're playing disc golf, take it easy, play well, get some birdies, and we'll see you next week.